Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about Kundalini Awakening. What it is, how to deal with it, should you pursue it, how to be safe from it, and where do you look for information about it. In this spiritual journey, you will come across so many concepts, so many philosophies, and Kundalini is one of the terms that is thrown around a lot. And it is used in so many contexts also, and people pursue it as some kind of mystical experience that will give you some powers or enlightenment or healing. Now, it's very important whenever these terms are thrown around that we understand what is actually happening. Otherwise, what we invite is a big trouble many times. And of course, the plus side of that could be you experiencing something that you have never experienced before, a mystical experience that opens the doorway for you to tap into your spiritual essence. So there are upsides and downsides to this, and which is why I'm making this video to help you really navigate this with a proper map, with a proper understanding. Now, first thing to understand about this is that there's so many modalities and ways people teach this through Kundalini Yoga, through Kundalini Awakening experiences, some healer doing some things on you and you experiencing something, or it could be through some other practices, some breathing techniques. So there are so many different techniques and ways people teach this, but one of the biggest things that people miss out in here is that it is very important to understand the mechanics. If we don't understand the mechanics, we may fall into a trap, and even if you're experiencing something magical, it's not going to last. You will come back to this body and you will maybe even hate your life. So what is really happening is that we have these energy centers in our bodies. And when the life force energy, which is the essence of this universe, flows through us, through the bottom to the top, then it is filtered through our energy centers. And whatever imbalances, whatever blockages we have in our energy centers, that is how we experience life. If we don't have blockages, if we don't have these energy centers, then we will experience no identity, no personality, no humanness, no nothing. It will just be complete dissolution into this universe, into the oneness of this universe. So, which is why we experience, a personal perspective in this life. So, which is valid, it is not something to be bypassed, it is something to be embraced. And if we have a lot of blockages in our energy centers, in other words, chakras, then we will experience a lot of distortions in our lives, a lot of imbalances, a lot of maybe illnesses even. So, which is why it's important that we understand how these energy centers work, and so that even if we reach higher states of consciousness due to some Kundalini awakening, we can ground that into this body. We can make our day-to-day experience higher, better, and our perception would be more connected, more as it is, rather than some kind of distortion version, which is then created through our programming, through our distortions, through our imbalances, through our blockages, which is what we don't want. So, which is why if we just pursue this Kundalini awakening without truly understanding the metaphysics of this, then we can cause a lot of imbalance. You could feel an overwhelming sense of ego death and complete loss of identity. You could feel depressed, you could feel anxious, you could feel that you cannot move, you could feel chronic fatigue, dizziness, headaches, psychological distress, even to the degree that you completely split into different personalities, or that you don't know who you are, an existential crisis, instability, emotional turmoil, and then you wouldn't be able to ground yourself into your day-to-day experiences, into your day-to-day responsibilities, into your tasks, into your job, into your relationships, because you're too lost, you're too ungrounded, not stable. So therefore, the proper way then is to understand that these energy centers in the body need to be understood properly, and then they need to be applied in our day-to-day life, how to bring this into our thoughts, into our actions. Therefore, these blockages resolve in a very grounded, stable manner. Which means, for example, instead of just trying to raise Kundalini through breath work, what we do is we try to heal ourselves through shadow work, through inner child healing, through resolving your fears. And so whenever we do these kind of basic things, then not only does our Kundalini rise to a higher energy center up until here, but also you experience elevated states of consciousness in your day-to-day living. It's not just a one-time experience, which is why I've made these videos before on healing these kind of things, and I also have this free energy center / chakra assessment which you can take. You will find in the description below. And so when you do these kind of healings on you, then the energy centers are balanced, they're working properly. And then there's the work of higher energy centers through heart, through throat, through third eye, and up until the crown. When we meet until the third eye, then the Kundalini, you can experience visceral awakenings and mystical experiences. And then it's not really just a mystical experience, it becomes very real for you. Everything becomes more grounded for you. And you are living in a magical world also, full of synchronicities, full of beautiful creations that come out of you. You are able to be a channel of this creation. You're not just this personal self, but at the same time, this personal self doesn't go away. That's why it's not really ego death in spirituality. It's really a dismantling of the ego so that the ego becomes transparent, which is why people who don't understand these dynamics and they go through such awakenings, they fall apart. It's a complete hell because you lose yourself. So really the point is not losing yourself. It is to understand yourself, accept yourself, and then realize who you actually are, which is all of it, all the energy centers included. Therefore, I would recommend studying these energy centers. I've studied them through yogic philosophies and also through the Law of One, which is a very great material to understand these things. You will find some different information if you study different materials, but ultimately it can be distilled down into a very simple understanding. And that's why I studied it a lot and put together this quiz that you can take. And once you're understanding this, once you know that how it's working and you can apply these things in your day-to-day life, then if you try to raise your Kundalini through meditation, through contemplation, through breath work, through yoga, whatever you want to do, or through some other healer or whatever you need to do, you can do so in a safe way that you don't become this imbalanced person. You're very grounded, you're very stable, and yet you are heightened. You are one with the universe. As we align to these energy centers, as we align to raise this Kundalini naturally, then our life becomes so much better, so much connected, so much beautiful. And this is what I wish for you to experience. I'll see you next time.